It always impresses me how, like, there are so many different topics you could discuss in Code Geass, like literally anything. And here we are going over the first 10 characters Lelouch uses Geass on. I don't even know what the point of this article even is. And what kind of bugs me is if you read this first paragraph, it says like, oh, we assume these were the most strategic moves possible. So then I was thinking, okay, do an article about that. The top 5 worst uses of Lelouch's Geass or the top 5 best uses, or knowing CBR, both of them. But here's the thing about this article and why I can't stand it. This is like the most basic topic you could do in Code Geass, and they still messed it up. I understand that if you're trying to do a complicated discussion about a character or an event, you might get some things wrong. This is just a list of 10 characters Lelouch uses Geass on. All you had to do was watch the first couple episodes and you had the answer. The fact that there are so many issues with this article indicates to me that whoever edits these things for CBR or the person who wrote this article didn't really care about any of this. Because if there was any form of attention spent on this article, these things wouldn't be there. And I'll explain what I mean. So it says there's first 10 characters, right? So if you scroll to the first one, it says Britannian soldiers. Now, I actually counted how many there were at that time, and it was 9. So if you say the Britannian soldiers, which is 9, Valletta knew at 1, there you go. Our list is over, 10 characters. So it's not 10 characters, it's 10 instances. But that's not right either, and I'll explain as we go through this article. So it says here, what about the first character Lelouch uses Geass on? Who were they, and what did he ask them to do? Considering he only used it once on a person, some might assume they're always the most strategic moves possible, but Lelouch was still a teenager during this. So I guess that's some kind of crack on Lelouch, making bad decisions. There's a whole flaw in Code Geass about, like, if he could use his Geass to command anyone to do anything, why not just tell every single person to be a slave? A whole nother topic for another time. I don't even know if that's what they're going with here. It's quite vague. But let's go through this here. Okay, so it says, remember, first characters. It doesn't say main characters, side characters, but characters, not times. Britannian soldiers. So he tells them to kill themselves, basically. Which was, what was it here? Yeah, first command, they all should die. Okay, remember, 9 characters. Now we're at Valletta. That is 1. So now we're at 10 characters. But let's say Britannian soldiers is like a character. A single character, which still doesn't make any sense. But okay, fine. So now we're at 10. Who's next? Clovis. No, Clovis was not the next person. Remember, Lelouch broke in by Geassing the guy who was actually protecting the vehicle that Clovis was actually in. So he's actually the next person. And then he Geassed Bartley and all the troops in there. Remember, when Bartley was interrogated by Jeremiah, he had no memory of being he didn't know what happened. So obviously Lelouch uses Geass on him, but they don't mention that here. And it was so obvious. Lelouch took his helmet off to that guy and Geassed him. Why is this not here? I'm going to assume they didn't put that guy on this list because they don't know exactly what command Lelouch gave him. But it's pretty obvious, right? It was probably let him go through or let him pass. So I can see why they wouldn't put him there, but if you're going to discuss the first 10 characters, and it's not even characters, it's instances, then you should at least be honest there was someone who came before here. But there's other times where he does give people commands, and they don't mention it on this list. So I don't know if it's because they didn't know what command he gave them, or they just didn't watch the show, because Clovis was not next after Valletta. It was that soldier protecting Clovis's vehicle that he was in, which I forgot the name of it. Oh, it's called a G1 base. I know it's kind of a random little fact there. Okay, so then we go on the next column. Yes, Colin was the next person. That's very true. And then he used it on his teacher. His teacher was for the answers, and Colin, it was to find out what she was doing the whole time. And it says there she confirms his suspicion, which allowed him more information on the terrorists in that area. And of course, she was also learned on the limitations of Geass. Yeah, he learned about that when he tried to do her 2 things at once. He actually learned, he can do 2 things at once, but he thought his Geass might have been broken too, which is why he used it on the teacher to confirm that it in fact was not broken. After realizing he needed to understand the rules of Geass, he decided to test it by asking people questions. That's kind of true, but again, it was also to prove that his Geass was still working. Okay, then Jeremiah Gottwald. Oh my god. Are you serious? There's so much wrong with this. First of all, there's an A here. I'm an individual creator for my blog, and also on my YouTube channel. And I can tell you that I don't get details like this wrong. You just go on the wiki and you would see this. This just demonstrates the level of carelessness that people who write these articles show. And more so, this is not even accurate because we know that to get Colin to not suspect Lelouch, he uses Geass on Sayako to call her while in the shower. They don't mention this, which is why I was saying earlier that if it was because we don't know what the command specifically was, we can't put them on the list, but we did know what that command was. So this is bullcrap. Why would they put Gutwall here? And there's even more people we can talk about the Geass use, right? How about the guy that he told to make his suit for him, right? Before he went to go rescue Suzaku. It was very early on in that episode, so you might have missed it. But again, if it's your job to talk about the first 10 instances, not characters, where the Geass was used on, then why would you not make sure that you got it correctly? And in that scene, the guy told Lelouch, actually, that he would forget he had a conversation and get all the evidence. That was another Geass uses they don't show here. Or how about the time when Lelouch tells 14 people on the train, I think it was 14, might have been more, to move around, right? So Colin and her friends, Colin, Ogie, the other two guys, I forgot their name, to go onto the train to see him in that one car. Another use of Geass, not mentioned here. We're at 5, and I've already gone through 10 instances. That's why this is bullcrap. And he talks about the Academy student. This is the longest running Geass in the series. And not actually true, because it shows you later on that she actually was too far because they evacuated the whole school, and she was actually okay. And what's funny too, it says here she stopped because she was too far away from the school of the Geass to work at all. So it's not the longest running Geass in the series. You know what the longest running Geass in the series is? The command for Suzaku to live. Since that keeps going on and on and on, even after Lelouch died. We see that in the new film. So this is wrong on both ends. Like, it's true that hers went on for a while, but once she was far enough away, she actually recovered and she was fine and no longer had any desire to go and put crosses on the wall. So, again, did some research, you would know that. The Academy Girls. Yeah, this was episode 6. Now, here's what's kind of weird. He says Britannian pilot, I'm not sure if it's he or she, Britannian pilot. What's the difference between Britannian pilot and Britannian soldiers? I don't know. It's just strange to me, this like weird choice of word. It's kind of the same thing. And then Britannian youths. And that's not even accurate because he used it on Nolban to get the base operations for the Black Knights. Remember when they get into that van and they're like, how'd he get this? And Lucia's like, I convinced someone to give it to me. So that happened before this. And also happened before this was using it on a person, his name was Gibson, to take 3 vans from the news report so Lelouch could broadcast to the world about the Black Knights. And then he used it also on the 3 men of the JLF who took the hostages to kill each other. So that's 3 instances before this that they forgot to mention. No matter how you look at this article, it was so poorly researched. I can't believe something this simple. All you had to do was watch the first, 4 or 5 episodes, and you have gotten everything you needed. Not even that. If you'd watched the first 4 episodes, you would have learned everything you need to know about the first 10 uses of Geass in this show. You add that with the fact that they're inconsistent with what they define characters or times, bad spelling, and poorly researched, and you have a bad article. You know, I don't care if CBR writes articles about Code Geass, even if they're clickbaity or awful, but if you're going to talk about a topic, do it right. And they didn't do it here. But anyways, that's what I got on this topic. If you guys want more CBR responses on Code Geass, be happy to do so. I already have some in the pipeline that I'm working on because ripping these apart is both very gratifying and it's also a little bit of therapy because I read these articles and I just get so pissed off because how do you mess up something this simple? But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.